It's up to you. That's what I want to talk to you about. You may be seated. Open your Bibles with me quickly to the Mark chapter 10, verses 32 and following. It's off here. Okay, good. One of the good things in life that you ought to be excited about is that God has put each of us in a position that we can determine and play a role in the quality of life that we live. And one more time, for your sake, so we can stop blaming other folk for the quality of life that we live. You may be seated, ushers. Thank you. And I think it's time for us to stop that anyway. And then it's time for us to take responsibility for bringing something to the table that we can offer to our fellow believers, our fellow man, our family members, our friends, neighbors. We are in community, but we need to all be in the process of bringing something to the table and leaving it there. And so I want to suggest to you today is that we are facing many, many challenges, and they're not going to go away. I had Brother Andre to do something for me the other day, and I had him to copy off all of these interventions that we've had around the world since 1798 up to 1945. And I have 345 interventions here where our country and our government has expanded and extended itself into other people's territory and affected their lives, and oftentimes in a negative kind of way. I downloaded a book on my Kindle the other day, and it's called Atrocities. And men in their inhumanity to mankind. The first 100 and top atrocities. I said the first 100. We have, as human beings, men, we have been responsible for destroying and killing over 1 billion people. I'm not talking about the others. I'm not talking about the other stuff. I'm talking about how inhumane is that we can be as people to one another. World War I alone is responsible for killing 66 million people. The Atlantic slave trade is responsible for taking the lives, conservatively, they say 16 million. But when those that have a more accurate account, says anywhere from 50 to 100 million people lost their lives in the Atlantic slave trade. We don't know how many people have lost their lives in this last 10 years in Iraq, in Iran, and in Afghanistan, because we have come up with this diabolical policy that we're going to sanitize war. And there's nothing sanitary about war. When you drop bombs on people, people die. And here we are sitting here on a Sunday morning, this is cool and calm and collected. And people are dying by the thousand, all around us. I wish I had somebody. And I'm just talking about and mentioning to you the first 100 atrocities. And these are atrocities that have anywhere from 66 million down to 300,000 people. I'm not talking about those places where 1,000 people died. I'm not talking about what 2,000 died. I'm not talking about what 25,000 died. I'm talking about 300,000 up. How inhumane can we be toward one another? And then I had Tanya to copy me a page this morning, and she have all of these reports of where police have brutalized black folk. And I have this article after article after article. You can go online, you can read the article. These are just headlines. This is not the article. These are just headlines. Hundreds, maybe thousands of them. People are so inhumane. That's outside of your house. But the question becomes, how are we inside of our houses? Sometimes it just seems like we just can't get it together. But to my understanding, we're going to have to make some choices. And everybody's not going to agree with us. Everybody's not going to walk with us. Everybody is not going to talk with us. Everybody's not going to like us. As a matter of fact, this text teaches us that a whole lot of folks in your own house don't have a deep appreciation for you. Now, I hope it's not you that's unappreciative of the people that's around you. I wish I had somebody. I hope that you are able to love people in spite of their behavior and their attitude. I hope. But realistically, let me just be honest with you, many of us haven't found our way of accomplishing that yet. But I'm here to tell you this morning that if you live for God, you're going to be in conflict with this world. Now I'm talking about, I'm coming home now to the how we are to live with one another. I'm talking about us. I'm not talking about, see, the Bible tells us not to love the world. Love not the world, neither the things that are in the world. For all that's in the world is not of the Father. For all that the world has to offer us is the lust of the flesh, the lust of the eye, and the pride of life. And when you embrace that kind of stuff, and then you have all of this kind of stuff here. Because most time what the people in the world is striving for is power over somebody else. And when we don't get the power over somebody else, then we try to force them to be what we want them to be or to do what we want them to do. Anybody here got a worldly attitude this morning? Any of you brothers in here worldly? I tell you how you're worldly when you try to force your woman to be something that she don't want to be. We got the worldly women in here this morning. You're always trying to force your husband or your man to be something that they don't want to be. I wish I had somebody. Force them to be something they don't want to be. Force them to go somewhere they don't want to go. Force them to do things that they don't want to do. Anybody here hear me this morning? If I'm right, and then most of us got some problems here this morning, and I am right. I want you to know that. So don't even question that. You just start questioning your behavior. But I said all this to say this. If you're going to get your life together and get your feet flat on the ground so you can walk and stay whole, you're going to have to take God's approach to life. Now, I got one of these hard teachings that I want to talk to you about this morning. It's a hard teaching. It's one of those teachings that puzzles us, and in particular us black folk, because sometimes we get our priorities wrong. We get the structure all wrong, and when we do, it leaves us empty. It leaves us in pain. It leaves us, boy, I've seen people right here in this church, time and time again, violate this text, right what I'm trying to share with you today. And some of y'all in here right now, I ain't gonna call your name. But I see it happen all the time. And you wonder why I can't have any peace. You wonder why I can't have any joy. You wonder why I'm always miserable. Y'all hear me? Let me share it with you. In other words, let me say this for you first. When you start to become a believer, things change. Life don't stay the same. And you can't bring the same old values to the table that you came out the world with. If any man's in Christ, he's a new creation. Old things have passed away, and behold, all things have become new. Even your relationship with your kinfolk changed. A lot of y'all kinfolk gonna land y'all in hell. I'm gonna say it one more time. A lot of y'all kinfolk gonna land y'all in hell. If anything if hell is real, and then a lot of our kinfolk gonna lead us straight there. I'm gonna tell you why. Because according to this text, you put kinfolks in God. And God tells us clearly and emphatically we're not to have no other God before him. And sometimes our kinfolks have become God. You might as well grunt or something. So let's go back to the starting point. The starting point is simply this. He said, whoever acknowledges or whoever confesses, verse 32. Whoever confesses, third plural, I'm sorry. They or whoever confesses, and the word confess, you know the word homo means alike, the same. Logos means to speak. And whoever speaks the same thing that God says about the issue, or whoever confesses and carry themselves in the likeness of Christ. To confess is to say the same thing, speak the same thing, or be like, okay? Look what it says here. Whoever confesses me before men, I will also confess him before the Father in heaven. Listen to me. Here it is. It's up to you. You can confess Jesus as the Christ and live, or deny him and perish. I'm going to read it one more time. You can confess him as the Christ and live, or deny him and perish. That's the kind of authority, and that's the kind of power that you have. That's what, look at me one more time. Whoever acknowledges or whoever confesses me, Christ speaking, where? Before men. He said, I also will confess him before my Father in heaven. In other words, you're going to need somebody to stand up for you. It's a future tense. The second confession is a future tense verb, meaning that there's somewhere in the future that you're going to need Christ to speak on your behalf. How do you get him to speak on your behalf? I'll tell you how. You didn't even ask me. I'm going to tell you anyway. You get him to speak on your behalf in the present tense when you confess him and acknowledge him right now. You acknowledge him now, and he will acknowledge you then. In other words, run around here and deny him if you want to. And let other things and other situations control your life rather than to follow him. That's denying him. When you stop walking with him because somebody is mocking you, That's denying him. He said, if you deny me, it's up to me. I got a choice to make today. I got a choice. I can confess him, acknowledge him, confess him with my mouth as Lord, and live up to that confession in my lifestyle and my relationship with other people, and I can acknowledge him that way, or I can deny him through my words and through my action. It's my choice. And if I should perish when my life journey is over, it's nobody's fault but mine. Nobody. And I'm going to be honest with you. Throughout this land, let me show you. Jesus says, not everyone that says, Lord, Lord, will enter the kingdom of heaven, but he will do the will of my Father who is in heaven. Let me show y'all something. Somebody told me the other day that we live in a Christian nation. Jesus is about life and life abundantly. And somebody told me that we live in a Christian nation where we can approve of, through our churches, destroying other people's lives, destroying their culture, and killing their citizens by the thousand. We get ready to go to war, we bow down on our knees and pray as if the other people don't even exist. Lord, give us strength so we can kill these folks. I wish I had somebody. And then this kind of stuff. Thousand upon thousand cases of brutality among the people. And the institution that's supposed to stand up for what's right and stand for God won't say a word. I'm talking about the church. How many churches are leading the rally for justice in this land right now? None. Because we don't see things the way God sees it. We don't see people the way God sees them. We see people as being expendable because they don't have no money. People like this community. Communities like this all over the country. Nobody cares. As a matter of fact, we care so little today that when a church starts growing, it packs up and leaves. As a matter of fact, some of my friends, some of my associates, I don't say friends, they say that E.D. Charles, why do you invest so much in that community? Why do you stay there? You don't have to stay there. Well, shucks, the people that I stay among are the ones that need Jesus. Huh? The Spirit of the Lord is upon me because he has anointed me to preach the gospel to the poor, to heal the brokenhearted, recovery of sight to the blind, to set at liberty those who are captives. In other words, folks that are having a hard time. We can choose today. And every time God gives us a choice to make, it don't necessarily mean it's going to look sweet and easy on the surface. I know that we have this concept in America today that God has blessed me. Therefore, if God blessed me, I'm blessed. Let's put it this way. I'm blessed. Well, how do you know you're blessed? Because I got a new car. I'm blessed because I got a new house. I'm blessed because my child don't smoke no dope. My daughter didn't get pregnant. Don't necessarily mean you blessed. She just might be sterile. You see? I remember my mother and daddy don't know today about that time I got high on marijuana. They don't know. My mama and daddy don't know anything about that. And in their eyes, I got a good boy. Your boy ain't no good because he smoked dope. I just didn't get caught. And all of y'all know I'm right because all of y'all black folks know y'all had some sex before you got married. So what you doing complaining about the girl that got pregnant when the sin ain't getting pregnant, the sin is having sex. I know what I'm talking about. Back in my wife's day, I tell you, they didn't do this kind of stuff in Shepherd. Because we got all moral, upright people in Shepherd. Shepherd people didn't do this kind of stuff. We had it together. But down in Gene's hometown, mamas and daddy were so wise that when they sent their daughter to the prom, they put a corset on her. Y'all don't know what that is. I mean, they put underwear on that were locked, and mama had the key. It's too bad if she had to go to the bathroom while she was at the prom. I know what I'm talking about because see, we get the thing all backwards. We get to criticizing and condemning folk. But we got to make, it's the choices we make. We got a choice today where we can confess him through our verbal confession and confess him through our lifestyle, or we can deny him. It doesn't matter about you coming up in here, or me or you, or it doesn't matter. We can come up here and make all these claims we want to with our mouths, but there's a B part to this thing. Is your action matching up with what you say with your mouth? And the Lord is clear to us that oftentimes we confess him with our mouth, but we deny him with our lives. We want to get past that. So to me, Rose Terrace, we're in a chance to be a dynamic, we're in a position rather, to be a dynamic, powerful institution in this community. It ain't got nothing to do with whether or not you got money. Now, we spent almost $700,000, $600,000 plus on this place here alone. I'm talking about just the building alone. I'm not talking about operational costs, what it costs us week after week to operate. I'm talking about just the plant, the physical plant itself. And y'all know that we ain't got no whole lot of money rolling up in here. Ain't nobody in here writing no 10, 15, 20, 25, and $30,000 checks. Nobody. And God has so ordained it that we can continue to go forward, even have to do it week by week and day by day. So you know, look at your wallet, you know it ain't got nothing to do with all the money that you have. Am I right or wrong? So God got a way of making things happen, even among us who don't have a lot of physical stuff that we that's manifested in our lives. God has a way of getting things done. And I'm going to tell you something about in our ministry here. We got people all over this community right now waiting for us to fail. All over the community. Because if we succeed, and then that says something about them, not so much about us. It challenges them. Why aren't we doing better? Because we have more to work with. We got more money. We have more people who have education. We got more talents, more skills. We got more of all the things that the world believes that we need for us to do it. But I got news for you today. If we would just simply confess, acknowledge, and live for the Lord Jesus Christ, he'll make a way out of no way. He'll lead us up the rough side of the mountain, down through the valley of the shadow of death. He will lead us all the way from earth to glory. And can't nobody do it with a bunch of poor folk but God. And God will do it. And you know I'm right. Because most of you sitting in this auditorium today has already been written off by this society, by this community. They don't respect us enough to call us and let us know they're getting ready to close our schools down. I wish I had somebody. But they ain't got our hearts. I wish I had somebody. They don't have our heart. They don't have your home. They don't have your church. And they don't have you. And you can make some choices yourself. And you can get on with life. I pray today that all of our choices will be Jesus. And I'm going to tell y'all something. For me, I don't know about you guys. See, I need a Savior that's going to save me now. See, I need somebody going to save me from all the hell I'm going through on earth. Most of us, we're satisfied with going to heaven. But if that's all, if my God can't do nothing but get me to heaven, I don't want him. And I'm not being blasphemous. Because see, God that I serve, he came down to save us from our sins. He came to save us from our dilemmas in life also. And you can trust him to save you in the face of police brutality. Save you when your health go bad. You can trust him for the God who he saves us from all of our troubles and our dilemmas and trials and tribulations. That's the kind of God I serve. Now, that's the one I'm trying to promote around here. And it's not enough. See, you don't know God if God can't get you to going and living life now. Y'all missed it. I said, you don't know God if the God that you are trusting can't get you off the starting block and get you to going now. God get us unstuck. That's why we need to confess him. He gives us new hopes. He gives us dreams. You can confess him and live, or you can deny him and perish. And when I say perish, I'm not talking about going to the hell where the flaming fires are. Now, you're going there if you confess. That's the end result. But I'm talking about perishing in this life. You know how a person perishes in this life? Just flat out miserable. See, when you worry about everything, you're perishing. When you're afraid of everything, you're perishing. When you're filled with anxiety about life, you are perishing now. When you got no hope, you're perishing. It's so bad. Can't nobody fix my situation, you say. You're perishing. I can't do anything, you say. You're perishing. Nobody loves me. You're perishing. I'm excited. And then let me let you guys know another little secret about life, too. Good chance that when you really get yourself together and start moving with Jesus, the crowd will start getting thin. See, people in this community have figured out that E.D. Charles is not going to change. He's going on. And my church feels the same way. And so that's really why I love Gene so. One reason why. Because I got to have at least one human friend. And you got to get ready for that, people. Because the Bible is clear. The road of righteousness is straight and narrow. And there's only a few that get on it. If you stay on it, you're going to find yourself walking with a thinner crowd. I wish I had somebody. Gene and I was riding yesterday. And I said, Gene, I'm going to tell you something, baby. That's the way I talk to her when I'm in the car. I said, it's a lot of things. It's two things really matter to me in life right now. That's my top priority. One is my relationship with God. That's my top priority. And I want you guys to know I love you, but you're not my top priority. You're not number 2 on my list. See, y'all didn't know that, did you? I love you, but you're not number 2 on my list. There she is right there. I said, baby, now, all I want, what I'm trying to do in life, and my challenge and my struggle is I begin to size up things and size up people that claim that they know you, claim they love you and all that kind of stuff, and then you look outside of your family structure and all that. I'm going to tell all of you something. If you got somebody at home, well, you better try to make them your best friend. I'm telling you. You had better get on the, like James Brown said, get on the good foot. And you better try to do something with that relationship. And y'all need to quit doing all this crazy stuff, jacking up y'all relationship. Because when it's all over, when you get way down the road, when you push him out or push her out, you're going to walk out there and find nobody else cares. You thought they cared until you got out there by yourself. Then you find out right quick they just don't care. People are just that way. And based on the way the structure of this society, and I'm moving on. I stayed here too long already. Matter of fact, I done did most of my time on one little point. But see, what you got to understand is most of this world is built on individualism, what I can do for myself. It ain't got nothing to do with people around me. That's what makes the church so unique. See, the church is the only institution in this society that's defined by community. In other words, it's about us merging together as one. See, you don't, as long as you're fighting this stuff to be separate entities and individuals, you're fighting against God. Because God is trying to merge us together so we can be one community. That's why you got to watch people when they talk about brotherhood. And I'm not going to beat no dead heart, but I'm going to tell y'all just like it is. Our white brothers and sisters need us to evangelize them because they don't believe in brotherhood. And the reason I know they don't believe in brotherhood because they work hard, diligent, 24 hours a day to find a way to stay separated from people that's not like them. And that's anti-Christian. Flat out anti-Christian. Brother. But want me to operate over here, and they operate over here. That's not Christian. When Jesus, on the day of Pentecost, God took all those people from all them different backgrounds, and the Holy Spirit began to move them, he brought them all together. And they began to understand one another. And they lived together, and they worked together in harmony, in unity. Because the Holy Ghost had taken some of those Africans and those Arabs and those Jews and those Persians and people from all over the known world. He brought them together. And now they can live together. He didn't change who they were. He put a different spirit in their heart. I wish I had somebody. That's why we are in this community, in this church right here today. Like I was telling my wife this morning, I said, Jean, what we got to be careful about in this society is this thing called class. We got to be careful about that. Because here's what happened. Upper class, middle class, lower class, and no class. You know what you're doing? All of a sudden, you're separating people. And upper class, so I got more, I'm better off than the people in the middle class. And the middle class, people trying to work to get in the upper class, but they're looking down on the people in the lower class. I wish I had somebody. And that ought not to be so in the church. In the church, there's no respect of person. There's neither rich nor poor, there's neither black nor white. Male nor female. In the body of Christ, everybody has the same value. We don't want it, though. We don't want it. We got silk stocking churches right here in this town right now. That got some here in South Dallas. Oh, you ever heard of such thing as a silk stocking church in South Dallas? And we have the lowest average median income than any other group of people in this city, right here in South, right here on this spot where we live right now. And Negroes have the audacity to say they got a silk stocking church. And they don't want people out of projects to come to their church. As a matter of fact, I'm gonna tell y'all one of the reasons why I've never told y'all this, why the Rose Terrace Bible Fellowship Church got started. It was never our intention to start a church in South Dallas. Our intention when we came here in 84. We came here in 1984. Our intention was to win people and place them in established churches. But the established churches didn't want y'all. I'm telling you what I know. And not only in Dallas, but the same thing in Fort Worth before we came here. They didn't want to deal with no people at the project. The project people didn't have nothing. They ain't got no money. They don't bring no talent. They don't bring no skill. All they gonna bring is their problems to us, and we don't want that. And so our next option was to start a ministry, so we can minister to the people out of the project. And as long as this church lives, and I'm standing on this face of this ground, it's going to be Rose Terrace Bible Fellowship, because the message has to go out that God cares about Rose Terrace folk just like he cares about Highland Park folk. And I'm going to tell y'all now, if anybody come in here after I die and want to change the name, you throw him out. Do y'all hear me? Because there's a legacy tied here. There's a history that's here. There's a message that's spoken every time somebody reads that sign out there. The outcast of society has left their mark on society. I wish I had somebody. I never will forget. I didn't notice I was young and very zealous. I don't know why I'm telling y'all this. But I had my first 6 members was either bipolar or schizophrenic. And we was all sitting up there, we going at it. I'm just a preaching and just a teaching. Sometimes they be sitting there full of that medicine. Other time they was hyped up. I didn't know what was going on. All I'm trying to do is do what I thought the Lord would have me to do. But that's the reason today. So I don't care what anybody say. And they don't mind because I visit them in the mental institution. I went down to Terrell and see about it. But I don't care what anybody say about Madeline Harris. Madeline Harris loved Rose Terrace. She loved this church. And when her mind was clear, she was always there. You say what you want to say about Julia Cook. Julia Cook was always there. They gone home to be with the Lord now. But this church is built on the back of schizophrenic and bipolar. And I dare anybody to criticize them, then to complain about them. Because if they had not come and sit on those pews, we wouldn't be sitting here today. And I remember those days when they would go in their wallet and take that quarter and put it in the tray. And we leave today, if three of them was there, we leave with $20.75. And me and Jane would put in the 20 and they put the 75 cents in. That was it. And here we are sitting today, and I know they're smiling from heaven. I know they are. I know they're smiling from heaven, talking about, look what we started. Look what we did. Look what God did with us when people thought we were crazy and out of our minds and we couldn't do nothing. But look what God has done. I wish I had somebody. Point number 2. The second thing I want you to understand today is that you can embrace reality and experience peace, or embrace fantasy and experience torment. Look at verse number 34 says. Do not suppose that I came to bring peace on earth. That's reality, y'all. See, a lot of us got a false notion about how it's going to be after I get saved. The reality is, let me read it to you. The reality is, I didn't come to bring peace, but a sword. At your house, when you get right with God, and other folks choose to stay unright with God, it's going to cause a conflict. And I wonder this morning, how many of us are willing to stand up for Christ when significant people at our house criticize us? Huh? Here it is right here. Listen to me. Do not suppose, don't even think about it, that I have come to bring peace in the earth. I did not come to bring peace, but a sword. For I have come to turn a man against his father, and a daughter against her mother, and a daughter-in-law against her mother-in-law. A man's enemies will be the members of his own household. You see, there come a time in every believer's life that you're going to have to make a choice. Listen to me, and this is a hard one. If you have to make a choice, Christ or mama, Christ or daddy, Christ or my sister, Christ or my brother, every one of us will have to make that choice sooner or later. And my prayer today is that you'll choose Christ. I'm going to rush on, but I remember years ago, before I left Houston, we were preparing to leave Houston, Gene, and myself and my 2 boys at the time. And one of my second oldest brother called me and he said, "You know what I'm going to do? I know you're getting ready to leave. We've never been apart that far. We've been together most of our lives in the same neighborhood or some in the same proximity in the same city. We always pretty close to one another physically. And so we got ready to move. And so he called me and said, I'm taking you guys out to dinner. He found a nice steakhouse and we all went to dinner. Me and my wife and all of my brothers. I have 7 brothers. Their wives, my mother. We all showed up at the hotel. My brother, he had deep pockets. He still do. So he's able to pay for all that. And we were sitting there, and I noticed that my mother didn't seem to be too excited. And I didn't say nothing. So we got close to the end of the dinner. And about ready, she said, and she spoke up. She said, boy, why do you have to go way to Dallas? You can preach here in Houston. You don't go way there. I had to make a choice. And I had to turn to my mother and say, Mom, with all due respect, I got to do what God told me to do. I can't stay here because you want me to stay here. I got to go. And I didn't know anything about South Dallas at that point. I never knew I would be in South Dallas. I never knew I would be a pastor of a church in South Dallas. All I knew at that point, I was supposed to be in Fort Worth, Texas. And I had to let my own mother know that God took precedence over her. So you don't hear me. And down the highway we came. And I told my mother, I said, I'll tell you what I'll do, though. I said, I'll make it a point to come see about you as often as I can. And if you choose to do so, you can get on the airplane and come and see me. Because we just a matter of, just a little time will get us together. I said, but I got to go. Now that's only 2 times I had to challenge my mother about this walk with God. And she meant well. Then on another occasion, she upset with me about something she wanted me to do. This is what mamas do. They say, y'all don't get it, but I do. And so I had to sit my mother down. I'll never forget, on the front porch. I said, Mom, we got to talk. I said, you are not the number one woman in my life anymore. I said, come here, Jean. I said, see her? I said, she is the number one woman in my life. Huh? And I said to my mother, I said, Mama, you know I love you. I'll do anything for you, but I'll never put you ahead of my wife. Period. Then I said to her, I said, now to be clear on this thing, you got a husband, and his name Willie Charles. And just as I'm called to be one with Miss Charles, you are called a one to be with Willie Charles. You go get with Willie, and y'all live y'all lives out together. And let me and my wife live out. And it's going to be okay. Never had another cross word out of about that again. All of our lives. And we have just a wonderful, beautiful relationship, but there comes a time when you got to set the record straight. And you got to do it without disrespecting folks. I wish I had somebody. He said, who are you going to acknowledge? You acknowledge Christ, number one, with your mouth, and number two, with how you behave and the choices that you make. If God tells you to be one with your wife, you acknowledge him by being one with your wife and not one with your mama. I wish I had somebody. Now, I didn't messed up a whole bunch of folks in here today. And some of y'all ain't gonna never be happy. I'm gonna tell y'all something. I'm gonna tell all of y'all children something more. Get out of your mama's house and your daddy's house, go with your own place, establish your own life. And I don't care if you got nothing but a floor to sleep on, go sleep on the floor until you get yourself together. Get your kinfolks out of your business, and the way you get your kinfolks out of your business by separating from them. I got to get out of here today. I told my boy, he called me one day. Dad, I'm in pretty bad shape. Can we come live with you? No! You ain't staying in my house. No wife and 2 children. What's wrong with you? Better get up and go get and take care of your business. I help you get some rent. But you ain't staying in my house. Here, take this $500-600. Here, yeah, how much you need? I need $700. Here, take the $700 and go get your apartment. And next month, pay your own rent. You ain't staying in my house. You know what? Ain't never asked again. Did y'all hear what I'm talking about? Embrace reality. The reality of the fact is that life has its challenges. And you got to deal with your challenges in life. Huh? Life has its challenges. Yeah, you're going to get down sometime. It's okay. But if you embrace reality, you often going to come to experience the peace of God in your life. For instance, now moving on, I'm going to say this. I'm going to cut this point short because I got to finish because we got to serve the Lord's Supper. Think about it for a minute. Think about how miserable you are and how crossed up you are when you violate what God tells you to do. Think about it. When you're out of place in life. No joy, no peace, no happiness, no sense of independence, interdependence, or whatever the case might be. You're all crossed up. Your wires are all crossed up. There's no happiness, no joy, no peace. The happiest time, I think the happiest time that Jen and I, we've had some good times together all through life. As a matter of fact, next month we're going to have 45 years. That's a long time. And, but I never will forget that first year. I'll never forget our first year together. Because all we had, I think the carpet was blue if I remember correctly. Because I stayed so close to it. Because that's where I slept. Those first years, we had such a wonderful time together, and we were so happy, and we just enjoyed life together. Because we did what God, we didn't even know. I didn't know what I know now, but there's something about doing things the way God tells you to do it. Huh? And all you got to do is do what God tells you to do. And see, we got to get away from this stuff of shaping our lives the way the world wants us to shape it. What's important to you? A new car or a healthy relationship? Huh? What's important to you? A new ring on your finger or a healthy relationship? What's the important thing in life? We keep missing it. And people don't want to come to a church like this and help to build an institution because we always want somebody to give us something outside the scope of what we think reality is. And the one thing I'm glad about, some of you guys, I've seen you around here like Mary Hart. I remember the first time I met Mary. Mary had on a black dress. I'll never forget her as long as I live. And we talked about those children in her over there, whatever street they live. I'm kind of in the middle of the project over there. And we talked about that. And Mary eventually came up and a member of our church and been laboring with children for all these years. And look at David. David sits back there. David said, who labored with you when you was a child? Miss Mary. Right there. That boy right there. He was just a child. There she is sitting right there. And Mary looked back over her shoulder every once in a while, and she kind of smiled, because almost every child that has come through this church has come through the hands of Mary Hart. See, you don't hear me. And she quietly goes about taking care of her business, never make a rumble, never make a fuss. But all the children around here know Miss Mary. Now, she don't get no whole lot of accolades now. Many of us don't pat her on her back. But I want her to know today that God got a prize for her. You better hear me. Every generation that has come through this church for the last 30 years. And that's what it's all about, people. We're going to have to get in here and dig in and do what we have to do, knowing that we have confessed Christ and we embracing reality. Yes, it's going to be a challenge. Yes, it's going to be a hard. Yes, people are going to talk about us. Yes, people are going to put us down. Yes, people are going to criticize us. They're going to condemn us. But it don't matter. We got God on our side. And we're going all the way. We can, and then if you don't embrace reality, then you experience torment and torture in your life. For instance, I remember when Vincent and Roderick was at home. The most difficult thing for me to do was to release my boys. Man, even when they left and went off to school, I'm always concerned. I'm worried about them because I got an unhealthy attachment to them. I'm holding on, Jeff. I got my paws in. And I never shall forget, and they were doing some funny stuff. They did some funny stuff just like I did when I left home. I did some funny stuff too. But I remember when I was in Austin, Texas, and I hadn't seen my boy in over a year. Boy, that's a long time. And he was into his stuff then, but he was. And I was in Austin at a big meeting. We had about 2,000 people in that meeting, in this big auditorium. And I just couldn't get it together. I couldn't concentrate. Because my mind wasn't on the meeting. My mind was on, where is my boy? Where is my baby? And every time I think about it, I get filled up with it. But I thought about that night, and I stole away and went up to my room. And I closed the door behind me, and I laid across the bed, and I couldn't even go to sleep. Y'all ever been there? Y'all haven't been there. I got up and I got in the shower. I said, maybe if I take a shower, I would settle down. And I got up and I got in the shower, and I was showering, the hot water running on me. And I looked up in the center, I said, Lord, have mercy on my boy. Where is my boy? I said to God. Bring him home. I came back to Houston the next week in the midnight hours. I said, Gene, that sounds like Vincent. I jumped out the bed and opened the door, and there he stood. Now here was the message for me. Let the boy go, I'll take care of him. Let the boy go so you can experience some peace at night when you go to sleep. Let the boy go. The reality is the boy had to grow up and become a man, and the reality was that God said when he become a man, let him go and find his own life. And when you deal with reality, and then you can experience the peace of God that passes all understanding. You don't even get it. How did I get on that? And then the book says, lastly, well, your deepest devotion ought to be is to love God. Above everything else, love God. With all of your heart, with all of your soul, all of your mind. Look at what the text says. Anyone who loves his father or mother more than me is not worthy of me. Woo! Now here's what the issue is. God is not telling you not to love your kinfolk. He said don't love them more than you love him. Don't put them ahead of me. Love God above everything else. Love him more than you love your parent, but love your parent. Love him more than you love your children. Love your children, but love him more. Love him more than you love your thing. your car, your house, your clothes, your degree on the wall, all of this kind of stuff. Love God more. And God, love me more, then I'll count you worthy of me. He said, if you love this other stuff more than you love God, you're not even worthy to be called by my name. Wow. There it is right there. That changes the direction of all of our lives right there. You know what I found out in life? I'm going to tell you something today. And I'm finished. I'm going to challenge everybody that's under my voice today to do this. I'm going to challenge you to make God your top priority in life. And love him more than anything that he's created. Let me tell you what's going to happen. Now, Miss Charles and I have never had a lot of money. But I'm going to tell you what Miss Charles has been able to do. We've been able to lend and not borrow. I wish I had somebody. You missed it. As a matter of fact, I remember the days when we loaned to people who were supposed to be our friends, and they made twice the income that we made. I wish you missed it. You see, if you put God first and love God, and then God will make sure that everything that you need will be taken care of. If you put God ahead of people, God will put the people you need in your life. You put God ahead of money, God will see that the money is in your bank account. Put God ahead of your car or your house, and you'll find that God will put a shelter over your head and a ride under you. Put God first. And when everybody else is mocking you, you'll get the promotion on your job. I wish I had somebody. Because God will take the king's heart, and like rivers of water, he turns it whithersoever he will. God will make your enemies your footstool. He'll make the Egyptian finance your exodus. I wish I had somebody. That's the kind of God that we serve. He's in a class all by himself. He's everywhere. He knows everything. He has all power in his hand. And God will take care of you. I know I'm right. When I was sick and couldn't get well, God healed my body. I had no friends. God was a friend that stayed closer than a brother. I wish I had somebody hungry. God fed me. Thirsty. God gave me a drink. God will take care of his own. The question becomes today, do you belong to him? And it takes us right back where we started from. Confess him before men. I remember the guy told me, and you know, we started out down in the gymnasium, had nothing but people in the project. I guess sometimes it's good to be crazy, I guess. Guy called me one day. He said, Charles, he wanted me to do something. I said, I can't do that. He said, why not? I said, because God has called me to do this ministry in South Dallas. And I'm going to do that. He said, well, where you going to get the money from? You ain't got no money. You broke. And the people down there ain't got no money. He said, people, what you going to do? How you going to finance it? I said, well, it's just an automatic came out of me. I said, well, the God that called me, since he owns everything, he'll find a way to get me something. And therefore, I'm going to stay. Now I'm sitting there looking at my wife. I got two boys sitting there looking at me, and I got them to take care of. And here's a guy sitting here with plenty of money, with a checkbook, trying to get me to go in this direction, and I tell him no. And he challenged me, said, how you going to do it? And you know what? I thank God today that God has shown himself faithful to the Rose Terrace Bible Fellowship Church and to E.D. Charles and Earl Jean Charles. I give him the praise and I give him all the glory. No, I can't preach. I don't talk well. Sometimes I talk too fast. Most time I talk too loud. But that's all right. God is on my side. I love God and God loves me, and God has always met my needs and meet the needs of the people that I associate with. He's all right with me, and I'm going all the way with him. To God be the glory for the great things he's doing. Let's give God the praise, give God the glory in this place today. So let's make sure we confess him, embrace reality, and love God above everything else. Come on, praise team, and lead us in a song. And we're going to join with you and sing and be happy. And then we're going to come back and do the Lord's Supper after they lead us in this song. Okay, we're ready. Come on, praise team.